Good evening, members of council, ladies and gentlemen, staff. I see that we have quorum, and I call this regular meeting for the Town of Pelham Council to order. I would ask all who are able to rise for the singing of the national anthem and for Councillor Papp to lead us.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patron of in all thy Son's command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Councillor Papp. Ladies and gentlemen, staff. It has been moved by Councillor Riviak, seconded by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved that the agenda for the March 20th, 2017 regular meeting of council be adopted. Are there any changes to the agenda? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. The next item is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. That is any conflicts of interest that any members may have. Do any members have any conflicts?
No, Mr. Mayor.
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. No councillors have one, but I have a conflict regarding the correspondence item 9.4.1 as it relates to a member of my family. And I'll ask the deputy mayor to sit in, or perhaps someone else, another councillor, to chair the meeting for that period. Now we'll move on with the agenda. We have a presentation and a delegation this evening. I'm very pleased that Doug Giles is here from Niagara Region, who's going to give us some information about some awards, and I would ask the CAO to join us as well when the time comes. Mr. Giles, thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Doug Giles. I'm the Director of Community and Long Range Planning at Niagara Region. I'm here tonight to talk about the Community Design Awards, which are basically facilitated by Niagara Region. Now, just to give you a bit of background, is the Community Design Awards were established in 2011, and they were basically established to recognize good design across the Niagara region. Now, good design is something that we usually take for granted. When design is done well, we often don't notice it because things tend to work a lot better than they may otherwise. But when design isn't done well, we do tend to notice when things aren't done well very easily. It could be if you are driving somewhere and you go into a store and you come out and you decide you want to go to the next store. Instead of driving your car, you try to walk, and maybe for some reason there's a barrier in your way, such as a fence or a wall, and you're not easily able to get to where you want to go by foot. Or it may be you're riding your bicycle or pushing a stroller down the street going somewhere, and all of a sudden the sidewalk ends and there is no apparent direction for you to go that's safe, and no option for you. But when you actually do design well, a lot of things come together. That's why I guess the Community Design Awards were established. What they do is they bring together a number of elements. They bring together land use planning, they bring together urban and landscape design, they bring together architecture, they bring together the infrastructure that's required to keep things going. So that when design is done well, you go into a community and it gives you a very good impression of what that community is about. And tonight, I guess I am here. We had the Community Design Awards 2 weeks ago. We had the presentation, and I was very pleased to see that Pelham was actually the recipient of an award for something that sort of is one of my areas of interest, which is the Community Design Award under the category of policies and plans. Now, what we see is a lot of places that are successful in designing their towns and cities and urban areas actually go to the trouble of putting plans together, such as master plans, such as structure plans, such as district plans. And what these plans do is they actually involve bringing people from various professions together and laying out how an area is going to be developed in the future. And what that tends to do is it tends to provide a lot of certainty for the residents of the area, for the landowners, and for future developers. Because what it does is it takes the guesswork out. It says to the future investors is, here's what the expectations are about how we want this community, this particular area in the community to be developed. So it's very important because it establishes what the future presentation of that town or urban area is going to be like and how successful it's going to be in the future. So with that, I would like to say that I am very pleased that the town of Pelham won a Policy and Plan Award in 2016 for the East Fonthill Mixed Use Center, which is a big achievement. So I'd like to congratulate Pelham, because these types of plans are one of the things that the region is actually promoting in doing, because we recognize that producing these plans actually sets out very specific direction that communities want to head. And in the future, under our planning mandate, we would like to see a lot more of these done. So what this is a reflection that, you know, Pelham is doing these. They are ahead. They're identifying what their community is about and how their community is going to grow. So with that, I would like to, I guess, present to the Mayor and CEO the one award for the East Fonthill Mixed Use Center. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate this.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
And I also have an award for Ron Palmer, who's from the Planning Partnership, who I understand did a lot of work in assisting with this plan. So thank you very much.
Congratulations. That's great. Another great collaboration.
And I was going to say that obviously this is a great collaboration between the property owners, which include the town, and the Allen Group. Unfortunately, they're not able to be here this evening, but also with staff and our consulting partner putting this all together. So it's gratifying to receive this. This is our third award that we've received for various planning and things that we're doing. Of course, the East Fonthill Secondary Plan was an award, and also you're going to present one for the East Fenwick, for Fenwick downtown streetscaping. But it is gratifying to receive these awards.
That's right. This one, actually, that's the. Yes,
No, that's correct.
The correct one. This one, okay. We take that one.
We'll take that award back
It's
now, thanks.
actually presented at last year's award in 2015 for public realm improvement of the Fenwick streetscape improvement. And I understand that's coming along very nice. And I guess people to see what good design is all about, and to see, I guess people don't really appreciate these things until they're in on the ground. The infrastructure is built, the design is up, everything is integrated, and people see how they work and what they look like, which sometimes it's hard to see on paper. But I guess seeing something like this come to life is a great thing. And congratulations on last year's award too. And, it's good to see some really good work being done in Pelham. It's excellent.
Thank you very
excellent
much,
job.
Doug. We really appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank
Send
you.
your thanks on to the committee as well
Okay, great.
for
Thank
this
you.
very
Thanks
much
again.
recognition. Thank
And
you.
thank you. Thank
I think
you.
we'll probably want a
Thank you.
photo though.
So Wayne, do you want to
Go
do a
away
photo?
when you do photos.
Good question.
Thanks very much.
Great.
Thanks so much, Doug.
Okay,
Really
no
appreciate it.
problem.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming this evening as
Pleasure.
well. Thank you.
Thank you. This is great.
Congratulations again. Thank you very much.
In a row.
Thank you.
Oh. Terrific. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Great, no problem.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks very much to Mr. Giles again for presenting that to us, and thanks to the committee for selecting Pelham to win that prestigious and much coveted award. And congratulations to our partners in that as well, Ron Palmer with the Planning Partnership and David Allen and the Allen Group. We'll be sure to present that to Mr. Allen at an appropriate time. Now we move to delegations, and we have one. It's Kathy Burkout-Bossy, Kathy Burkout-Bossy, who's going to be presenting on behalf of the Fonthill Lions. So if you might join us, and Lion Rick Gretzinger is here as well, and he's going to be presenting, and there are other members of the Lions Club, the Fonthill Lions Club here. So thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Mayor Augustine, members of Town Council, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rick, and with Kathy, and together with my fellow Lions, we'd like to share details of a new initiative called Message in a Bottle that has been launched in the town of Pelham by the Fonthill Lions Club. I would like to show 3 points. First off, this is a free program. I'll say the word again, free. This is totally free, no cost to the participants. No sign-up or registration is involved. The Fonthill Lions Club distribute the Message in a Bottle kit free of charge as a community service. Second, this is a voluntary program for anyone, any age, who might be assured to know that essential information will be available to first responders should they suffer an accident or sudden illness in their home. And finally, this is a private, personal diary. Participants fill out the form that is provided in the kit. They can fill out as much or as little as they want. The form goes in the bottle. This in turn goes into their fridge. Kathy now has a presentation as to the history and details of our kit.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. The program was started in Ireland, and we have a video that really explains things well. And you'll notice a little bit of an accent. And some lively Irish music, if this link is going to work for me.
The silent film.
Not getting any sound. Let me check that. No, I don't want it muted. You have to. Sign language.
Where's Mike when you need him?
You already see your screen's open. Open up the screen for. Where's it? This one down here?
Yeah, your icon should be at the bottom of your screen down here. Come out of that.
It's only there
Yeah.
if you have to escape this.
There you go.
years, 75 Lions Clubs have distributed
now we got it going
90,000
to
bottles throughout Ireland.
We saw a need for messaging bottle in our local area
Sounds like it's
as
been
a
about 2
way
times.
of helping people that are living on their own and gives them peace of mind.
Nolene, emergency personnel say this type of information is essential for treating patients, especially during that first critical.
I'm just gonna go right to the beginning, just explain how it.
Thank you, and thanks for solving the technical difficulty.
Yeah, sorry. But it explains how the
Free
program works.
life-saving program.
Message in the Bottle provides vital information to the emergency services in the event they are called to a home.
To fit in all of this.
Yeah,
People fill out a form with their personal and medical information, including pictures of themselves and phone numbers for their family. Then they put the form in a small bottle inside of their refrigerator. They place stickers on their refrigerator, front and back doors, to let emergency personnel know they're participating in the program.
It's a great idea because we know that everything is written down there. Anybody of any age should have a message in a bottle.
My name is Mark Hughes.
How are you, Mark?
I'm from Lions Club. This is Jenny.
In the last 5 years, 75 Lions Clubs have distributed 90,000 bottles throughout Ireland.
We saw a need for messaging bottle in our local area as a way of helping people that are living on their own, and it gives them peace of mind.
Both Nolene Dunn and her husband.
Okay, so I'll just give you a quick little overview of where the program started. It has since been successfully launched by the Napanee Lions Club, and we are launching it here in the town of Pelham. The Fawn Hill Lions, we actually launched last Thursday with a meeting at Lookout Ridge Retirement Residence. We presented to residents there, and they are so supportive of the program that they're organizing a volunteer work party to help us put these kits together.
Great.
So the kits are being distributed at no charge to the public. The Fawn Hill Lions are covering the costs of the materials, and we have made the various emergency services aware of the program. So it's still in the early stages, and we've had good support for what it is that we're doing. What we're hearing from the people, well, I mean, it helps people that are more vulnerable in our community, but it is important that in an emergency situation, particularly if someone lives alone, that they're able to have this information presented in a way that it speaks for them if in the event they're not able to speak for themselves.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and I'm glad we got the video figured out, so thank you for that. Do members of council have any questions for representatives of the Fawn Hill Lions Club? Councillor Powell.
Firstly, phenomenal. It's very different. I guess my first question is, and trying to be the pseudo lawyer, how did they get around the disclosure of personal information being put into, it's at a personal house, so how do you get around somebody saying, or one of their family members saying, I don't want my mother's information, my father's information stored? Is there a disclaimer, or is it just strictly voluntary disclosure?
It's simply voluntary. People can choose to participate.
Right.
They fill out this form themselves, personally. They roll it up, put it in this bottle, and it's kept in their fridge. The idea is we want to be able to have the information available in a common place. And
So the thinking is that everyone has a refrigerator, that it would be on wherever that is? Yeah, they did say in the video that there would be stickers on
sorry,
it.
I'm gonna stop it again, but I have a slide anyway. I'll explain it. The form itself outlines the instructions. They're very simple. They put the form in the then they take a sticker, they put it on the inside of their door, and then they put it also on their refrigerator. Yeah, let me go to here. Yes. Yeah, so in the instructions kit, it's very clearly just states these are the operating instructions for the package.
Counselor, anything further?
I have lots of questions, but I'll ask you
Yeah.
afterwards because from an operational, I work, you probably know, with a very vulnerable population.
Yes.
This is incredible, but I want to be sure, and I'll talk to you more about how, if it's voluntary, where you get them, how you get them, because we run into this day in, day out, where people, they have a situation at home, nobody can find the personal information, the family isn't around, people are scrambling all around. This would say to whoever it is, whether it's first responders, others, go to the fridge, all the vital information is here, right? That in a nutshell?
That's it in a nutshell.
Okay, I'll talk to you
Peter.
more about it, because I can just see an application like this, particularly the seniors, and I'm thinking, Catherine, you know, when you think about all the people we've got and what we deal
I
with.
have this program
Yeah.
for years.
Counselor King?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. What provision is there for updating this information? Because people's medication changes,
Right.
their surgeries change, the information related to allergies may change.
Yeah. Again, it's volunteer, it's up to the people to, what's in there is what is in there at the time. There is we're asking people to show, to keep all their medications in a box somewhere and to tell on this form where those medications are. Yeah, it's a starting point.
Yeah, but the location of the medications probably would address that anyway. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Questions or comments? So just, Counselor Pap?
Very quickly, so they're assembling all these kits for you, right?
We're working with
So
volunteers.
you are the
to
distribution
assemble-
group?
We are,
Sorry?
You're the distribution group?
yes.
So if I wanted one, I would contact one of the members of the Lions Club. That's how
We have
you,
other distribution
We-
centers around the town.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, we'll be rolling out announcements of where the depots will be for the kits.
that's what I want to know. Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks very much. So you have on the screen here some, as you say, depots. Lookout Ridge Retirement Home, the Fawn Hill Legion, the Fawn Hill Shopping,
So Shoppers Drug Mart, right?
Shoppers Drug Mart.
This is like, we're just launching now and making the community aware of it, and so far we have these places have indicated an interest to distribute the kits.
Okay, great. Counselor King?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, you could update that because the Pelham nonprofit housing is on this program.
Okay,
There
yeah.
was a presentation done to the tenants there.
Yes, Jake did that, yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect, that's great. Thank you very much for your presentation. I do have a motion. It's been moved by Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor King. Be it resolved, the council received the delegation from Kathy Burkout-Bossy, Fawn Hill Lions, and Rick Gretzinger, Fawn Hill Lions, respecting awareness of the new innovation by the Fawn Hill Lions Club called Message in a Bottle for Information, and that the program be supported and endorsed and encouraged over all to, what's it say? And encouraged,
Over all use of the program.
thank you, over all use of the program, and that the town encourage the region of Niagara and local area municipalities to also adopt this initiative. So through that, if, and I presume the Lions Club will reach out to other Lions Clubs across the region, but through that, that would mean that this would then be distributed to other municipalities across Niagara about the message in a bottle. And I think the fire chief has indicated that if council approves this, you have a meeting tomorrow. Maybe, Chief, you can fill us in how you might spread the word as well on the fire service side regarding message in a bottle.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Tomorrow, I have the regional chiefs meeting. I'll take, Kathy's going to leave me some samples, and I've had the information for a little while now, and we were spreading it around, so I'll give it out to EMS, and we'll slowly kind of disseminate it out there to the people. And if I could just, Councillor Pav, if I could answer maybe your concern about private information.
Right.
When you're dealing with emergency services. when you dial 911 or call for emergency services, have your permission already to come into your home.
That gives it.
So when we see a sticker on the front door, and you're giving us
Right.
permission, and it's not verbalized, but that's giving us permission to go in your fridge and get the personal information. We take that personal information. It doesn't go beyond us. We give it to the paramedics. Paramedics give it to the doctor, and so forth. So it doesn't go anywhere other than this, the chain of spreading the information. So.
Thank you, Chief. That's helpful. Councillor Papp, anything
Yes,
further
thank
on
you,
that?
Chief. That's what I was getting at, is that if somebody understood that it becomes implicit information collected by your service, not something that's publicly available. Okay, great. That's the protection I was looking for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. CAO, you wanted to comment as well or ask a question?
We have a new resident package that we hand out to every new resident that comes to the community, so that would be a great thing to add to the new resident packages, and that way we can disseminate to people.
Yeah.
So we'd be more than willing to participate in the office here, so we can talk after if you'd like.
We can make information available for that.
Thank you. Councillor Durley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The intent of my motion is to, number one, make other municipalities aware that we are supporting this and let them know just what it's about. We're planting seeds so that your Lions Group network can go about the formal introduction to it. But this is just sort of a heads up. Something very good is coming. Have a look forward to it, and we hope that everybody can, get involved with it, endorse it, support it, and support it. It's a terrific idea, and it deserves all the support that it can get. So that's the intent of my motion.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Any others to the motion? I think the other thing is if, and I'll ask the CAO this, if council adopts this motion, can we also assume that the town hall can be one of the depots?
Absolutely.
For the, so if the Lions Club so wishes, we can have a depot here at town hall that residents can pick up the package and get it explained to them, et cetera. Okay?
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anything further? There being none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. It's as Councillor Papp indicated, very, very innovative idea, a fabulous idea, and we look forward to working together with you and spreading the word on this great initiative that hopefully will save lives, as you say. Thanks very much for bringing it to us, and thank you to members of the Lions Club for being here as well and showing support. Thank you. I think you wanted the inside of this to pass along to the fire chief. Thank you. To all presenters, you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you're more than welcome to do so. So thank you very much. Now we'll move into the more formal portion of the meeting. Thanks again to the Fawn Hill Lions. It's been moved by Councillor Junkin, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved the following minutes be adopted as printed, circulated, and read. And we have a few of them. Minutes of the special council meeting on March 6, 2017, special council minutes of February 27th, and 2 meetings on February 27th, special council minutes of March 1st, and regular council minutes of March 6th. Are there any errors or omissions on any of those? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. Now we move to consent agenda items to be considered in block. I would ask that we deal with 941 separately, because I do have that conflict of interest. Are there any other items that council would like to lift for separate consideration? Councillor Junkin?
Yes, 9.5.2.
Okay, thank you. And that's a resolution from the town of Lincoln regarding region-wide strategic plan for agricultural irrigation. Thank you. Any others? Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Papp, seconded by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved the following consent agenda items be received and the recommendations contained therein be approved as applicable. Presentation of recommendations arising from the Committee of the Whole of March 6, 2017, and the minutes of that committee meeting. Action correspondence of a routine nature, Canada 150 birthday celebration cycling event, and the resolution be it resolved that council receives the correspondence from the Niagara Cycling Club Alliance and that the request for financial support of the Canada 150 birthday ride be referred to staff for review and report to be presented to council at our next regular meeting scheduled for April 3rd, 2017. We have information correspondence items, one from the Ministry of Education regarding pupil accommodation reviews. One has been lifted. Niagara Region response regarding the appointment process to the NPCA board. Resolution from the City of Hamilton endorsing the Town of Pelham's resolution regarding the process of appointment to the NPCA. A letter from Sam Osterhoff, MPP, regarding Wellington Heights Public School and the renaming. And one item from the Region of Niagara, an action item, which is to receive the media release moving towards intermunicipal transit in Niagara, next steps in the process. And finally, committee minutes for information, Active Transportation Committee minutes of January 17th and Committee of Adjustment minutes from January 10th and February 7th. Questions or comments on any of those items under the consent agenda? I would say in regard, I'm sorry, Councillor Durley, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question more than anything. In 951, the information from the Ministry of Education, it makes note of annual community consultation meeting. I've never heard of this before. Have I missed a memo, or how is this brought about? It said it started in 2015 with change reforms to the Planning Act and Development Charges Act that Ministry of Education, Community and Planning Partnerships introduced a annual community consultation. How is this circulated? Because, like I say, I've never heard of this, and I'm sure a lot of people haven't. And sometimes if we can sit down with these people, we may learn things before they come to really cause situations that we need to react to instead of being proactive with. So I'm just wondering, can we talk to our board and say, give us this information and somehow circulate the notices so that people are aware of this?
Okay, thank you, Councillor. I don't know, Ms. Weens, are you able to assist the councillor in whether there have been these annual community consultations?
Mr. Mayor, through you, I know that this is something that's kind of a new initiative that started about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago now. And I think the first year they had some discussions with town staff, but I don't know that they've gone out and have done broader community consultation. So it is something that we can investigate further and better understand the nature and the type of consultations that they mean.
Okay.
Councillor?
And certainly to communicate it much better with the public as well, and that's, I think, the bottom line of it all. If there was communication, it certainly was limited, and it shouldn't be limited. It should be wide broadcast so that everybody's aware. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any others to that particular item? Councillor Powell?
Just to pick up with Councillor Durley, I presume, Mr. Mayor, this refers to both public and separate school?
Yes, it does, yeah.
Okay, so those, be interesting to hear the protocol and how they do it so that we become familiar, as we always want to be engaged. So I concur with my colleague.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor. I think the memo does indicate all of the four boards, including the French and French Catholic. Councillor Ribiak, on this issue?
On this issue.
Go ahead.
I hadn't thought of it when I read it over the weekend in preparation for this meeting, but in listening to colleagues, I wonder whether, in fact, we mightn't consider adding to the motion and indicating that we have a desire to pass this on to the boards and ask them to work with us on developing a process of communicating with one another with regard to these, to the various items. Do something active rather than simply passively receive it.
Okay, thank you. I think, was there not staff direction given, Madam Clerk, in terms of Ms. Weens was going to report back to council?
Yeah.
I think on that, Councillor. So you're asking for something separate in the resolution, or can it, when it comes back to us with information?
Well, the resolution
is simply to receive.
Receive the correspondence and regarding the impact of the recent pupil accommodation reviews, and I'm saying that we pass this on as an attachment to an invitation to the school boards to get together at some point and develop a protocol of some kind in which we might meet annually or otherwise to ensure that issues that that could be of interest to our residents and to ourselves are in fact made known, if nothing else.
Okay. I think Ms. Weens has some direction to come back to us and investigate that a little bit further. So perhaps when that occurs,
Sure.
that can be the time that we can maybe make a formal motion to say, we do want to have those open dialogues.
But I
If
do
that's
find
okay,
it-
Councillor?
Absolutely, it's okay. I do find it interesting, I think as colleagues do as well, that in fact the minister is indicating to us that it's her view that we ought to be pursuing exactly the kind of action that we thought would have been appropriate given the issues that we had facing us. And that kind of gives us some stronger ammunition, if you will, in terms of encouraging that discussion. But if that's already happening, that's good. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I think staff will come back with some information, and Ms. Weens will investigate a little bit and come back to council with it, and at that point, then council can give direction, a resolution to say that we want to initiate those meetings in a more formal way, perhaps. Anything else on that particular item? The item does speak to the idea of community hubs, which is interesting, and I think as a number of school boards are looking at accommodation reviews, and perhaps in some jurisdictions declining enrollment, the idea that schools, either as they continue to be a school or as they were a school and are going to be sold, can be that community hub. I found it interesting that the idea here in terms of, and I'm trying to find it here on the in the notice, saying that if a school becomes a community hub, there could be the idea that a municipality would not have to pay market value, but less than market value. So that's there, and they're changing the regulations in order to do that, which is probably something very helpful for communities. I know that a number of communities have said, wait a minute, you're going to close the school, and then we get right of first refusal on that. They're extending the timeline from 90 to 180 days. And the public paid for the school, and now you're going to have another public entity buy the school at fair market value to use it for a public, entity or use. Doesn't make sense. So I'm pleased to see that they're changing that. We will, I understand, have the sale of a school coming up as surplus eventually. Pelham Center will be disclosed and declared surplus by the board. So it's something that we're going to have to look at that point. So I just raise it for members of council. So we'll look forward to that information coming back from Ms. Weens. Are there any other items on the consent agenda? I do want to highlight two things regarding the region. One is that there's this media release, which I think was part of it was put up in here, and now it's been corrected, that there is a meeting coming up on Thursday at the region regarding intermunicipal transit, and the idea is that there would be one integrated transit system, and they're seeking a triple majority. So we'll see how that discussion goes forward on Thursday at the region. As council knows, the three major transit providers in Niagara have adopted unanimous resolutions to say that they wanted to move in that direction, and now the region taking that is going to consider the idea of a triple majority to provide the intermunicipal portion. So the way it's worded, I know Councillor Papp, you worked on this on the many years ago, back in prior to 2006 when it was finally adopted on the specialized transit. But it's interesting that in this case it's saying just for intermunicipal transit, so recognizing really what the region is already doing. The key piece that we're going to have to, and I'll try and tease out in the conversation, is, well, what about Pelham's transit? Pelham's transit does go to another municipality. Is that going to be covered under the bylaw, et cetera? So we'll have to watch what what that looks like, and I will circulate the report to council members. It's already public, but you can take a look at it and give feedback. On that issue, Councillor?
No, on another item.
Okay. So anything on that issue? No? Okay, so we look forward to that discussion. And I did want to raise the another item here, but I'll let the councillor go first. It might be the same item. Councillor Rybak?
This is with regard to, let me just find the number. It's the one with regard to the NPCA in any event, 953.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
953. Our motion is to receive the letter from the Niagara region indicating that they've taken our proposed change to the selection process for NPCA members and have sent it on to the province. I suppose if we receive it, we're indicating that we're happy with that response, and maybe we are. But I would have thought that it's not the province that would have determined the process for determining NPCA members, that in fact the process that they're using was one of the region's own choosing, and that if that's the case, are we really happy with simply receiving this response?
Thank you, Councillor. Just to give councillors a bit of background, when this was put on the Regional Council's agenda on March 2nd, it was put on with that recommendation for the referral. The rules of debate at the region are slightly different than our rules of debate here. We can discuss about a referral or a postponement, whereas at the region you can't. And so I rose to speak to it, to make the amendment that we actually deal with it at the region as this council wanted. And they said, no, you can't discuss it. And I challenged the ruling of the chair and lost that. So we had hoped that the region would take the recommendation of this council, and this is essentially saying in a very short letter that I just lost it here, but in a short letter that they're just going to refer it to the province. You're quite right, and this council, when it debated the matter, recognized that the selection process is up to the region. That's what's under the Conservation Authorities Act, and this right of first refusal process where regional councillors and the mayor get to choose first before it comes to a local council is something that's within the region's purview to change. I would have made that argument on your behalf had I given the opportunity. So I know that the city of St. Catharines has discussed this. I know that we also have on the agenda that the city of Hamilton endorsed this. If the councillor's looking for some other mechanism to say, hey, region, this is something we really want you to discuss, we could lift it for separate consideration and deal with it that way.
Well, if it's not too late to lift it, I'll propose lifting it now.
Okay, thank you. Is it, if that's okay with the consent of council to lift it, and now do we do with that now or later?
I would call the motion on the consent agenda and then deal with that one.
All right, thank you. So we'll deal with that one first once we deal with the remainder of the consent agenda. Thank you. Anything else under the consent agenda? Okay, I'm going to call the question on the remainder of the consent agenda. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. Now to that particular item, Councillor, you lifted it because you had other action in mind?
Well, I felt that that our discussion here was very much about the fact that we were not happy for Pelham's sake about the way in which our NPCA representative had been chosen, and that the suggestion that we had made to the regional council was for them to consider their process, and for the coming term to make the change that we'd suggested. And what we'd suggested, of course, is that this item come back to local council for us to choose a representative for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see that our motion is to simply receive the notion that it simply be forwarded to the province, it just occurs to me that maybe the regional council has the power to do it themselves, but want some direction, I guess, from the province to tell them, but I'm not sure that they need direction from the province in order to change their own process. And if that's the case, then maybe we need to send this back to regional council and ask them to take another look at it. I'm not sure quite how to phrase the motion, but I think that that's what we wanted to have happen when we discussed it in the first place.
Thank you. Councillor Durley has indicated he'd like to help out. Councillor Durley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's apparent that the NPCA doesn't want to deal with the situation by themselves or need some direction. So might I suggest that we send a letter to the province referencing this letter that they are sending and ask them to direct the NPCA to amend their policy. If in fact they're looking for direction from, not from the little town of Pelham, but from the province, then we could perhaps get that direction coming from both ways, and maybe that will precipitate a move on their part.
Thank you, Councillor. I think it would go asking the region, because it's the region that decides, not to the NPCA, but to the region itself to
Sorry.
decide how to put members. So
Sorry,
you said
the
the
region,
NPCA.
yes.
You meant the region. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So can you make that as a
I would like
as
to
a
make
motion?
that as a motion, yes.
Okay, that we receive it and we forward it to the province, requesting the province to direct the region to change the process in which they select members for the NPCA. The ironic thing, is there a seconder for that? I should get on the floor. Councillor Junkin. The ironic thing is the minister has already written to the region to say that. And so this is a back and forth ping pong kind of match sort of issue, unfortunately.
I think reference to the March 6th letter needs to be made, because in fact, if the province has already given that direction, this will tell the province that somehow the message wasn't received. Right.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else to the matter? Councillor Junkin, any comments as a seconder? No?
Oh, as a second, it seems that appears that someone at the region has a hard time reading, as what it appears to be. Especially, it seems to be quite evident, and it's the region's, within the region's power to grant us our wish. It's kind of mind-boggling that they find that they don't have that power. But I agree with Councillor Durley's recommendation that let's give another kick at the can. Sure.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Councillor Papp?
I won't belabor this. It's kind of ironic, like you say. One of our supporters of the NPCA, Hamilton, 500,000 people, endorsed our written resolution. And it is within the power of the region to change the articles of appointment. So going back and forth is just a tennis match.
That's right.
So either they want to actually, and there's components in there, which you've done, where people have declined as elected official and they've appointed citizens. So I don't see what the big problem, but I guess the question always comes down to the other 11 municipalities. I don't know where they stand, other than unless St. Catharines is endorsing it.
St. Catharines is it's on the agenda anyways tonight to endorse it and to forward it to the region again.
Let's try with what Councillor Durley said, but I think it's just, it's a red herring. It's up to the region to decide to work with the NPCA, say we're advising you to change the way in which you go about appointing members to the Conservation Authority. I don't know why that's so difficult. But anyhow, we'll see what happens.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Ribbiak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I just want to build on what Councillor Papp has been saying. It seems to me that maybe the right answer is, the right letter to send to the regional council is that we're expecting that we will appoint our next representative to NBC, regardless of what the other 11 municipalities care to do, or whatever it is that they want to apply to other municipalities. I wonder what would happen if we were just to say to them, you know what, it's our representative, we want to pick him.
Well, it seems like we are playing a tennis match, so
Yeah, that's right.
when the ball comes back in this court, perhaps that's something that we can deal with at that point.
We have time,
If that's
I guess.
okay, yeah.
Yes, they have.
The clerk has just indicated that the city of Port Colborne also endorsed the resolution from the town of Pelham. So, any further debate? I'm going to call the question on Councillor Durley and Councillor Junkin's motion regarding receiving this and sending it to the, along with it to the province, and asking the province to indicate to the region that it really is their purview to appoint representatives. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. There was an item that you lifted, Councillor Junkin, and that's regarding the resolution from the town of Lincoln regarding a region-wide strategic plan for agricultural irrigation. I think the motion was simply to receive it, and you wanted to do something different than that. Go ahead, sir.
Well, first of all, a comment. Everyone knows that the majority of people had a great summer last summer. Not too many rain days, if indeed any rain days. People who make their living at agriculture, we had quite a hard time of it last year, as most of us only got in half an inch or an inch of rain. So we had a drought condition, which is ironic, considering that we are indeed located between two great bodies of water. And to see this action being taken, maybe start the ball rolling to see if there is indeed some way we can get a peninsula-wide irrigation system going. At least take a look at it. I know from personal experience that if we have a wet summer this year, this whole thing will die. But perhaps if it is indeed going to be continuing in the dry sector, maybe this, I think this would be a great thing to move forward on, and to at least have a discussion at the regional level. So if there is any way that I could encourage my fellow councillors to endorse this, or perhaps we're not supposed to endorse it, but I think it would be a nice step if we could endorse this motion.
Okay, thank you very much. So you'll move that to receive it and to support and endorse the motion, which really talks about the request from the Agricultural Policy Action Committee to support their working group's plan and its efforts to build a region-wide strategic plan for agricultural irrigation.
Yes.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Ribbiak will second that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion to the matter? I believe the town of Niagara-on-the-Lake has an irrigation plan or an irrigation system for agriculture. And I was just driving in through the North Pelham area and was reminded that there's a farmer there on Balfour that has some sort of irrigation system. He had the machine out, he or she had the machine out, and looks like they were working on it today. So there are some farmers that have this, but this contemplates a plan across the entire region. Obviously, it's going to be different depending on the topography and soil, etc. And I know that especially in the northern part, it's been talked about or hinted at for a few years. So
Yes.
I appreciate you pulling it, and hopefully council will support and endorse this. Are we ready for calling the question? All those in favor? Any opposed? And that is carried unanimously as well. Thank you. Thanks for raising that, Councillor. Now I would ask Councillor Durley to chair, or Councillor King to chair. Who's going to chair it? Somebody else to chair.
Councillor Durley is.
So you're just gonna read number one. You need a new seconder on that part.
Okay.
And you'll read that.
Okay, since I was the seconder of that and now chairing, can I get another seconder for this motion? Councillor Junkin. Moved by Councillor Papp, seconded by Councillor Junkin. Be it resolved that council receive correspondence from the Pelham Active Transportation Committee dated March 2, 2017, regarding the naming of the new Fenwick Rail Trail, and that the correspondence and recommendations of the Active Transportation Committee be referred to staff report for the next regular meeting of council, April 3rd. This deals with the naming and so on and so forth that will come back to us at our next meeting. Questions or comments? Councillor Ribbiak.
Just a very quick comment, if I may. I can recall some 4, 5, 6 years ago, Mr. Burkout dragging me out to that trail and walking me along it. It was a great idea then. It's a great idea now. And certainly, I would endorse the naming
I'm sure if you walk it now, it's much more pleasant than it was at that time. Councillor King?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also will be supporting this because the Fenwick Rail Trail, had it not been for Mr. Burkout's vision for that old rail trail and the devotion of his time to see the idea come to fruition, I'm not sure that we would have the rail trail. Those are my comments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, just waiting for a ruling from the clerk. Now, the resolution, as I read it here, does not deal with the naming. However, there may be something in the...
Through you, Mr. Chair, if council so wishes, right now the motion is to receive it and refer to staff for a report on the naming. If council wishes to make that amendment, this would be the time to do that, to just proceed with the naming.
Okay, going by the comments that were made, is there an amendment
I'll make that amendment,
forthcoming?
Mr. Chair.
Okay, Councilor Rubik, and so you're saying that not only to receive it, but also to consider...
To accept the recommendation that's within the letter.
So it would be this motion here. That
Okay, that the town of Pelham recognize Jerry Burkout for his dedication and efforts to establish the new Fenwick Rail Trail, and that the town of Pelham name and appropriately sign the new trail in recognition of Jerry Burkout as the Burkout Trail. Is this your wish?
Yeah,
That's a mover, seconded by Councillor King. Okay, the amendment is open for discussion. Councillor Junkin.
I know, I don't know Mr. Burkout very well, but I know him to say hi, and I know him, he's a fine, upstanding upstanding citizen. This naming of the trail appears to me, though, a couple of weeks ago, we had an individual, not a group, but we had an individual come before this council wanting to name, well, it was the old part of the library, and we sent that, we thought that perhaps other groups or other people should be involved to consider if there was indeed any other names suitable other than the one that was put forward, to have them come back with a list of names or something of that nature. So I just wonder if we're not jumping the gun on this to, I mean, we did one thing for the library room, and it seems like we're kind of, if I may say, jumping the gun on endorsing this name for this trail. Do we have, it seems to me like we have two sets of standards here.
I appreciate your comment, but in the other motion, which really, we're just using this for background, was looking at historical connotations. This is looking at current connotations. I think there is a bit of a difference in this. However, it's open for discussion. I'm just the chair of this, and any comments towards Councillor Junkin's discussion forward? Councillor Rubik.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You could, of course, name it after the previous owners of the trail, called the TH&B Trail, but really I don't think it has the same ring or the same meaning at all.
Okay.
We used to refer to that train as to hell and back.
Yeah, there are other words as well.
There may have been. I was too young to learn those.
Okay, so the amendment is there. In fact, if we accept the amendment and vote on the motion as amended, then we'll deal with the naming today. If not, then it will go as the original motion going back to council, and we'll look for a report to come back at our next meeting. Is that in order?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Discussion on that? Okay, so I'll call the motion on the amendment. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Okay, so the motion is amended that will, in fact, name the trail. Discussion or comment? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. And if we can call the mayor back in so that he can take over this chair, I just kept it warm for him. Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you very much, Councillor Durley, for chairing that portion of the meeting. I appreciate it. And now we'll move on to our next portion, and that is my report. I'm going to have some difficulty here because my computer crashed. Thank you very much.
I didn't touch it.
No, you didn't. It crashed before you sat here, so thank you, Councillor. Thanks very much. I do have a very brief report. I do want to highlight and congratulate Ron Corr on the 2016 Citizen of the Year. Very pleased that Councillor Durley and Councillor Junkin were there to congratulate Mr. Corr on winning the Citizen of the Year for 2016. I appreciate the Kinsmen continuing to follow through with this amazing honor in our community, and it is a great, great honor. As I said at that time, Mr. Corr is the person that many people call, and when they need something in the community, asking the question, who are you going to call? Ron Corr, because he always invariably says yes, whether it's a cake for Canada Day for the town, or something for a sports team, or an event that's going on, etc. He's always very, very supportive. And so congratulations to Mr. Corr. Obviously, an honor that is well-deserved. Congratulations. Very pleased to attend and offer congratulations and best wishes to Heidi and her team at the grand opening of the new Fonthill business in Fonthill, which was Nails Plus. And they're so excited to be there. I know the fire chief was there as well, along with the bylaw officer. They were very, very excited to open up. And I'll be sure to inform council when other openings are occurring. And also, just the final report here is about the Community Design Awards on the Site Master Plan for East Fonthill, and we had that already. So that is my report. Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved that Mayor Augustine's report dated March 20th, 2017 be received for information. Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Junkin, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved that the Community Planning and Development Report for 1423 Pelham Street, file number CP0117 be received, and the council approve the bylaw authorizing the mayor and clerk to enter into a commercial building facade improvement grant agreement in the amount of $20,000, a planning fees grant agreement in the amount of $5,955, a residential intensification grant agreement in the amount of $75,000, and a revitalization grant agreement in the amount of $199,496 for 1423 Pelham Street between the Town of Pelham and the Barber Family Holding Company. Questions or comments? The bylaw will come later. Councillor Papp.
Well, I think it'd be suffice to say that to the Barber Development Group, that someone who's traveled the world, and I've been through lots of places, that I'm so ecstatically pleased with this development downtown Pelham. It really sets it out. When we talk about creative, innovative, blending in, best possible use, you've hit all the right channels, and we trust that once this is done, you'll be, which I know, very successful, and will encourage other developers in the downtown core to follow the same type of principles that we've outlined in guidelines and development of a master plan, and I can just see this being the stimulus. So congratulations. I can hardly wait till it's finished. I can just imagine what it's going to look like and when it's done, and it just will encourage when people come from out of town. And the reason I say this is we just had one of the townhouses down my area, a couple moved in here from Toronto just on Friday. They were here Saturday, and I was talking to them. They went downtown, came back, and they couldn't believe what was on downtown area, and they just thought, oh my God, you guys really have taken a step major forward. And so again, congratulations. This is incredible.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Durley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The community improvement plan was put in place just for this very reason.
Yep.
The downtown facades are really taking shape. We're having a whole new look to the downtown. A lot of it has a Barber imprint on it, and some more of this shall be, and when it is done, we'll be there. And I'm just very glad that people are taking advantage of this. It's doing us a lot of good and doing the community a lot of good, and I'm sure it will do the Barber family a lot of good as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any others?
No.
Thanks, Councillor Durley, for pointing out and Councillor Papp for pointing out the reason and the rationale for the community improvement plan. And when I was thinking about the number of buildings on Pelham Street alone that have been done, 1/3 of them, or this will make it more than 1/3 of the structures in the downtown area on Pelham Street will be redone as a result of the community improvement plan, intensifying growth, revitalizing, putting residential development there, facade improvements, etc. And as you indicated, Councillor Durley, so many of them have been actually designed by Mr. Barber and his firm. And it's great to see you actually doing one here on your own property. So congratulations to you. The renderings that are here are very exciting, and as others have said, we look forward to the completion of this. So best wishes to you. Going to call the question on that motion. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried, and we'll deal with that specifically by bylaw momentarily. It has been moved by, now we move to another item. It's been moved by Councillor Durley, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved, the Council approve the removal of the lunchtime crossing guard position at Glen A. Green School effective September 1st, 2017. Questions or comments to this? I think the report does indicate the rationale that only one student uses it during that period, and that student has always been accompanied by an adult. Any further comments or questions? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have a couple of motions regarding development on Abbott Place. The first has been moved by Councillor Junkin, the seconded by Councillor King. Be it resolved, the Council received the Department of Community Planning and Development report for information as it pertains to part of blocks 45, 59, M399, depicted as parts 1 to 3, municipally known as 54, 56, and 58 Abbott Place. And the Council considers approving the part lot control exemption bylaw for parts of those blocks, municipally known as 54, 56, and 58 Abbott Place. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. And another item has been moved by Councillor Papp, seconded by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved, the Council receives the Department of Community Planning and Development report for information that pertains to similar blocks on properties municipally known as 47, 49, 51, and 53 Abbott Place, and the Council consider approving the part lot control exemption bylaw for those properties. Again, 47, 49, 51, and 53 Abbott Place. Further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. And now we move to presentation consideration of bylaws. We'll deal with them together. It's been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Pelham, having given due consideration to the following bylaws, do now read a first, second, and third time and do pass the same, and that the Mayor and Clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and seal the following bylaws. Bylaw 3851 being a bylaw to authorize the Mayor and Clerk to enter into an agreement with the Barber Family Holding Company, Inc., for the purpose of a community improvement plan program for the property known municipally as 1423 Pelham Street. Bylaw 2, which is bylaw 3852, being a bylaw to exempt part of Block 45, Plan 59M399 from part lot control, Wheeland Heights subdivision. Bylaw 3853 being a bylaw to exempt Block 48, Plan 59M399 from part lot control, Wheeland Heights subdivision, Shout Communities, Fonthill, Inc. Bylaw 3854 being a bylaw to appoint Judy Shepherd as the acting deputy clerk for the corporation of the Town of Pelham. And bylaw 3855 being a bylaw to appoint Greg Young, officer number 136, as bylaw enforcement officer, property standards officer, and provincial offenses officer for the corporation of the Town of Pelham. Any further discussion regarding those bylaws? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved, the following bylaw be read a first, second, and third time and passed, being bylaw 3856, to adopt, ratify, and confirm the proceedings of council of the town of Pelham in its regular meeting held today, the 20th day of March. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. And it has been moved by Councillor Ribbiak, seconded by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved, this regular meeting of council be adjourned until the next regular meeting scheduled for April 3rd, 2017 at 6:30 p.m. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. This meeting is adjourned. We do not have committee, so have a great night, everyone. Thank you.
10 minutes overdue.